Hello. Welcome back to Trading Weekly once again on Sunday afternoon. How are you doing, Kaye, this Sunday?
Happy Sunday, Sean. I'm doing great, man. How's everybody doing on the call?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we'll get some answers in a second, of course. Make sure you put your ticker requests in the comments. On this fine sunny day, is it sunny where you are, Kaye?
Yes, it's cloudy, I would say. It's not fully
Yeah,
sunny. But yesterday was very sunny. Yesterday was sunny, and I think we do have a little bit of a weather pattern forming here. So it's getting a little chilly in the evening. It's like drop to almost like a 15-degree drop from the highs of the day, basically. So for a summer, it's
yeah.
a pretty big drop.
Those nights are definitely rolling in, aren't they? It's getting
Yeah.
darker minute by minute, day by day. A little bit depressing, but it's okay. We've still got a little bit of weather to kind of get on with. But I don't mind the winter. What's your thoughts in the winter? Do you kind of knuckle down, just kind of relax a bit in the evenings, or do you
Yeah, no, I
try
actually
and
like
fill it
winter.
out?
I'll give you a reason why I like winter. See, because
Yeah,
in summer you only wear a t-shirt and a short, and you only have two pockets. So when you have five things in your hand, your pockets are like bulging out. But in winter, you have a coat, you have a jacket, whatever you're wearing, and you have a few more pockets to use. So I just like winter. Plus, actually, I like fall a lot more because, like when you go
yeah.
out, you get like the nice, chill air on your face. It's nice.
Yeah, no, it's good to know that your efficiency levels go up in winter. That's good to know. Right, let's jump into the stream, shall we? So we get the kind of small chat out of the way. Make sure you post your ticker request in the comments. We'll get to them in about 15 minutes time or so. We've got a few already. We've got one here from Justin, who's a regular viewer of the podcast slash stream. I don't know why I call it a podcast. Maybe it could be a podcast one day. Who
Maybe a
knows?
podcast.
Could you do Microsoft, Palantir, or Apple? We will do all three of them for you because they're all kind of interesting at the moment. I'm sure people are kind of looking at those names. Where was I? Just put that up. Yeah, so of course. And Wolf Financial, thank you very much for letting us through the platform. We really appreciate it. And of course, it's just a couple of guys looking at charts and giving their thoughts on stocks. So yeah, it's not financial advice, but we say it every week and it's fairly obvious, but we'll keep saying it week after week. And I think finally as well, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Trading Weekly on YouTube, as you can see on the screen there. And yeah, without further ado, we'll jump into the slideshow for Sunday, the 25th of August. It's a bank holiday here tomorrow in the UK. It's not in the US, is it? We're fully open. Markets
No, we
open.
are fully open. We
Uh,
like
uh,
the next holiday is Labor Day, which will be the following Monday, not this Monday, coming Monday. The following week will be the Monday will be off for the markets.
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the kind of the equivalent perhaps for us.
Most
Okay,
likely.
right.
Yeah.
Last week felt bullish because of the Friday that we had. Friday was the same day. Obviously, Jerome Powell came out and spoke, and Jackson Hole kind of suggested more towards kind of rate cuts, if I'm not incorrect, of
September,
course.
yeah, yeah.
But the kind of weak market overviews you can see on the screen here: NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft, all down around about 2%. Of course, we've got Google actually up 1%, and Meta down 4%. Amazon just below, down 2%, as you can see on the screen there. And of course, Tesla basically flat, which is always interesting to see Tesla around flat after a week's trading. A couple of other names to kind of take note of. Obviously, got AMD down 6.83%, maybe just giving back some of its over 100% gains in the last few months. We'll see what happens with them this week coming up. And what was I going to touch on? There's another one on here. Palantir down 11%. So
Mhm.
giving back some of its gains. And we do have a ticker request for Palantir. So we'll analyze that a little bit later on. I think it's interesting to have a look at that chart for sure. Any other names on this chart you can see here? Chart, slide,
No, I
whatever.
think pretty standard. I mean, we think AMD. I don't see AMD where it is.
Just
Pretty
over here on the
standard.
left here.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, we'll cover those probably, down the road. So
Yeah. All right, then. So we'll move on to the next slide, which is fear and greed index. So we're kind of sitting around 61 greed. We were at 63 last week, and we were about neutral week before, neutral again the week before, if I remember correctly. So we're kind of floating around this area. I do believe once we get into the kind of SPY and the QQQ charts in a second, I do believe there could be some more optimism coming up just because of that reaction on Friday, as we mentioned. I'll let you talk to the left side of the screen here. What have we got going on?
well, as you can see, the put to call ratio is 0.66, so extremely bullish. The VIX has dropped. It was 15 something last week when we were live. It's down to 14.22. SPY pretty much flat. QQQ was down maybe percent, 0.9%. So again, I think flat overall market, even though it was a market liked what they heard from Jackson Hole, but I think still it was pretty flat. The key events to watch next week, I think, in my personal opinion, these two numbers are going to be key: the consumer confidence, because that continues to deteriorate. I mean, you can put it any way you like it; it's deteriorating, and with the holiday season starting to approach, I think this is going to be very crucial to see how the consumer is feeling. And then, of course, the core PCE index numbers that are also coming up next week. So those are, I would say, the two economic events. But again, many other things could, pop up which could blindside you.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of that happening in the market. Maybe not even from a macro level, but some companies coming up with some important news here and there. So just be aware, if you've got lots of companies in your portfolio at the moment, just be aware of what's happening in the markets, of course. We'll move on to the earnings. I don't think there's any massive earnings this week. There's one big name, of course, got NVIDIA after the close on Wednesday. Kaye is covering that chart/stock today, so we'll get into that a little bit later on. Interested to see what your thoughts are there, Kaye, for sure. There's a few more names on here that people will definitely be interested in. We've got Marvell after the close on Thursday. After the close on Wednesday, again, as well with NVIDIA, you've got Snowflake, CrowdStrike. So some very familiar names for people. Anything else that's pointing off the screen here? Maybe Okta?
I was actually surprised when I looked at the earnings week. It's actually exploding every single day. So if you touched Okta, so I'm going to go to MongoDB is another one that's on Tuesday. The other one that I think most people would like to watch is on the Affirm side on Thursday. Of course, Baba is there for you, but generally a lot
Yeah.
of fintech influencers or fintech investors, they like to watch Affirm as well, the BNPL system. So I was actually surprised that this week it has a lot of stuff going on, not just just Nvidia.
Yeah, it's definitely a few big names. Maybe people will kind of join in the NVIDIA week as we kind of move forward. But yeah, as you said, Alibaba earnings on Friday, that's a much anticipated one. Interesting to see what they can really post. Affirm, I mean, you did mention it's the kind of fan favorite. It does move a lot, that stock, doesn't it? Percentage wise, it really rips when it rips and it falls when it falls. So
Exactly.
maybe that's why people are kind of interested in it. Because it's a money making machine if you get it right, of course. We'll move on to the first chart of the week, and that is SPY and QQQ. We kind of join them together, makes more sense. We've done it for a couple of weeks now. Let us know if you like it. I think it works well. On the left side, we've got SPY on the daily chart, and on the right side, we've got the QQQ on the monthly chart. The reason I brought the monthly chart up is because we are obviously approaching the end of the month. The end of this week will be, I don't know the dates exactly, but it'll be kind of towards the end of the month, and then the week after will be the September 1st. So we will get this candle closing this week, of course. So I think maybe we'll start with that one on the right side, of course. If we can get back above the 573 line on the Qs, then we might just be able to push up towards kind of 620. And K has disappeared. So I will just continue talking. I'll just wait for him to come back in a second. But anyway, we've got the Qs here on the right side. If we can close back above that 573 level, that would be ideal. And as we mentioned, if we look on the left side of the screen here, we've got the SPY daily chart. Of course, we did start the kind of the week out, and we kind of mentioned the fact that we might break this trend line last week on the stream. And we did, in fact, do that. We kind of broke it down. People kind of not panicked, but they kind of maybe thought about their kind of portfolios a little bit more. And we've just got to get Kay back in here. And of course, hello, Kay. How you doing? You better?
I'm doing great. I don't know why I think my router just switched off, so it's going to take a couple minutes for it to switch back on.
Okay.
But I'm on from my phone, so that's
All right. I'll continue talking about this chart on the left side because I did start, so I will finish. I think with the day on Friday, I think we can probably make a move definitely towards the 650 line. Whether we kind of push through that will be yet to be determined, but there's definitely a lot of optimism given what we happened on Friday. And we do see some comments out there on the thing here as we've got lots of suggestions. Hope you've got all of these, Kay. We've got you and Okta from Tech Steve. We've got Joe giving FVST. Sky is the limit with TEMP, and then we've got Urban Warriors with quite a few tickers there.
yeah.
And Manram, who's a very loyal watcher, and we do appreciate that, of course. Manram, Uber, Rubrik is a good one there. I'm looking forward to getting up Rubrik for sure. And of course, Money Managed back again. We do really, really appreciate it. With Open Door being the highlight there, I think, because I think that's kind
Yeah,
of
I
pushed
have
up a little bit
about
more.
17 tickers that I have captured. So Yep, I got
There
it.
you go. Awesome. We've got a busy session to have. Of course, we'll move on. Well, actually, we won't move on. We'll go back to the chart. Got my organization a bit off there. We've got, oh, hang on a minute. Where's Kaye gone? Disappeared again. Let's try that. What are your thoughts on the SPY and QQQ at the moment, Kaye?
Well, I see. I think the issue with SPY that I see personally is it's just like very frothy at this point in time, right? It's at all-time highs. Uh, can it make another all-time high? Most probably, most likely, that's going to happen. Um, but I want to be careful here at these levels. To be honest, it's just somehow just doesn't feel very. But it's more feeling. Right? It's subjective here. It doesn't feel very great to be at these levels right now because we haven't seen any pullbacks, even like a 2%, 3% correction before the next rally. But hey, maybe Nvidia might change that. Maybe we will see a sell the news, or maybe we'll continue to see further all-time highs. But August so far has not really shown anything. But again, September is also another month that generally has you know a weaker performance compared to other months that we have. So we still got 6 weeks to go on that.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting 6 weeks for sure, especially with the data that's kind of coming out. Some of it's kind of good, some of it's kind of bad, so kind of contradicting itself. So it's going to be a choppy one. So do be careful if you are out there. I mean, you kind of play caution to kind of buying at these levels, but I don't think it's. I mean, I wouldn't be buying loads at these levels, but of course, if you want to kind of short-term trade, you could do depending on what the technicals align with. But yeah, I mean, it's just be careful out there, everyone. We'll move on to the next slide. And this one is kind of just what we're offering. I think I'll go first this week. I'm gone first for a while. Normally I hand it over to you, but I'll let you sort your stuff out if you're kind of doing that already. For me, you can see kind of daily kind of tweets and kind of thoughts and charts, etc. And kind of on the productivity side, and of course the psychology side from trading as well. All on my X there, you can see at Sean Trades _. Same for the YouTube. I kind of release videos every couple of weeks. All again around kind of trading. It's kind of evergreen content, should we say? I forgot the word there. So evergreen content for sure. So you can keep coming back to it. You can keep topping up your kind of trading journey with those videos. And of course, we do have something called Ticker Flux as well, which is the kind of green thing you can see on the screen there. It's just something you can kind of put your tickers in, and then I'm working with another person. We've got some very good analysis that we kind of put together. And of course, we can help you with your trading alongside that as well. The details of all of this are obviously in my X profile. You can just tap on the link tree. Anyway, enough about me. What have you got going on at the moment, Kaye?
Home base is switching to
Sorry, guys.
Wi-Fi
I'm
repeater mode.
really having a hard time
Home
over
base
here.
is
Give me one
switching.
second.
Malfunction. We've got a malfunction going on over
Yeah,
there in New Jersey.
my router is like and the funny part about this whole situation is the router always gives up right during the live. But anyway, so let me so on I am on Substack. I have been I did post a long-term opportunity trade on Monday. So if you're interested, you can check it out. And then of course on YouTube, I continue posting videos for our trading channel as well. And then for all the other analysis and thoughts, you can follow me on the Twitter side.
Awesome. Yeah, always great content, especially with your Substack. I know you put a lot of effort into each article, and I think it's definitely worth people checking that one out. And you can access that through Kaye's X profile. It'll be on there as well. So what we'll do is we'll bring up this comment. We'll pop us into a different mode, and we'll bring up this comment here from Justin Elizard. I always say this wrong. Sorry, Justin. Elizarde. I think I've got it right. I find it a little bit scary on QQQ and SPY. I mean, that's understandable. I mean, kind of these levels, and then especially with the day we had on Friday, the optimism kind of shooting back up to almost all-time highs, if not all-time highs. Yeah, it is scary. So that probably means maybe you're a little bit apprehensive, kind of about buying things. I would maybe look at kind of separate stocks. That's what I've been doing anyway, looking at separate names rather than the SPY and QQQ. The kind of leveraging those bigger moves from the bigger companies and the ETFs and using them on the smaller stocks, so therefore you can make a little bit more money, at least in my opinion, of course. So do you find it a little bit kind of scary at the moment? I mean, you kind of mentioned that
Yeah, that's
anyway.
what my
Yeah,
thoughts were.
yeah,
Exactly. That's what my thoughts were, right? I mean, at these levels, I'm not going to be adding a lot on the SPY and QQQ. I mean, I'll continue to DCA into the index fund, smaller amounts because you can't time the market from a long term standpoint. but I'm not going to go, with my full position on most of these things, most of those securities that are already at 52-week high.
No, of course. Right. Okay, then we'll move on to the next slide, which is our competition slide. If I could get there, that'd be great. There we go. And Kaye, you won again. Last week you picked Mara.
I know.
Last week I picked Alibaba. Unfortunately, Alibaba was up, but only just below 1%, which is a bit of a shame. And of course, you were up 6%. It's not bad. It could have been better for both of us, but you took the win, and you're now up to 6 points. So you've still got another 7 weeks to kind of get in a row. But to be fair, you've got 3 in a row, so you've got to start somewhere, hey?
Yeah, exactly.
So you must be feeling on top of the moon then.
No, I'm just being cautious.
Yeah, just week by week. Okay, fair enough.
Week by week, exactly.
I think that might be it for the slides. I know we've got picks of the week. Yeah, moving on to the picks of the week. I'm getting so confused. Moving on to the picks of the week. I've got RIVN this week. And you might think, why has it got RIVN if it's kind of within a wedge? And the reason I say that is because we've got a bit of news around kind of tax credits on Friday, which I think is very good for EVs in general. And RIVN has been a beneficiary of this type of news in the past. And just behind Kaye, you've got the circle, and the volume has really increased on Friday. You could just about see it there on the next to Kaye's head there on the left. So the volume's definitely coming in. I know a lot of volume came in generally on Friday, but I basically see this kind of going back towards the top of the trend line. I won't be trading it, but I will be pointing it out. I will be trading it if it kind of pops out of the trend line. I've already got a long-term position for this, that would be beneficial anyway. But I won't be trading that move specifically because that's not part of my strategy, and it's not something I want to get into just because it doesn't really align with my rules. And why would I do that? And that's probably something you should be looking at as well, not UK, but everyone, all the viewers. But yeah, if we can basically get to the top of this trend line and push through this volume at 14, which is actually only $1 away, so that's not too bad. It's not too much of a move for RIVN. I think we could probably kind of essentially explode back up to kind of 16, 17. So it seems a bit kind of pushy, but with this type of stock and this type of market, I think it could be very, very possible. Any thoughts on RIVN before we move on to your stock?
Well, I did post a comment on Twitter the other day. I forget which day, it was Friday or Saturday. So one thing that I'm noticing from RIVN side is Arjus Karinj has been going on all these different podcasts and talking a lot about the product and the company and the vision and the EV market in general. So what I see is happening is they are building the hype towards the launch of the R2. So R2 is going to be a direct competitor to Model Y. Now, at this point in time, I think the EV industry in general is going through a pretty low phase where the $7,500 EV credit is going away. Of course, there are some provisions that are happening behind the scenes. If you take the delivery, if you whatever be the case, you're still eligible for stuff like that. But I think, in my opinion, I think they're setting up the stage and doing this marketing with all these different interviews and kind of replacing Elon Musk as the face of the EV to Arjus Karinj. Whether he will be successful or not, time will tell. But I see that move happening slowly from the RIVN side and their marketing side. So I'm pretty bullish on RIVN from a R2 launch. I think if they can get that right, there will be definitely a demand for R2. That's what I see from a long term. But again, they have to get that right.
Yeah, there's been a lot of anticipation around the R2 model, and I think it's going to be quite a success once it fully comes out. Because it does look very, very impressive. And obviously, like you said, RJ Skarin, he speaks not only a lot about it, but he speaks very well about it as well. He articulates that idea and that kind of thought process very, very well, which obviously investors really enjoy. Hasn't necessarily kind of put into the chart yet, but of course these things take time. You can see it's kind of building, it's kind of coiling. It has been for a while. This is the weekly chart. I should have mentioned at the beginning. So this goes all the way back to kind of middle parts of 2024. So it's been going for a while, this kind of coiling wedge that we've got here. I just anticipate if we do get a bit of a break, especially with like a good earnings report, maybe Q3 earnings, we do get a good report, and then perhaps we kind of start making that move towards 24, which you can kind of see just above our heads there in the top right-hand corner. Yeah, we'll move on from RIVN. That's my pick of the week. We'll see how it does. I need to kind of get a win on the board because it's been 3 weeks now since I've won. So we'll move on to Kaye's pick of the week. It's a big one this week, Kaye. Take it away.
Yeah. So the pick of the week, as you can see, probably is NVIDIA. So it's not a surprise. And I'm not saying I'm going to take a trade or I'm not going to take a trade, but we'll just talk about a couple of things that are, very visible on NVIDIA. Sean, if you don't mind actually reading the couple things, because I really cannot see my screen from the phone.
Yeah, of course. So
the top on the left-hand side.
So we've got key areas to watch. We've got AI momentum, China headwinds, and sell the news event.
Exactly. So basically what is happening is, the AI revolution, I think this has become a household name. This is not nothing new. We talk about this every week. You probably have heard this like so many times throughout a day that it's probably just annoying to hear AI revolution at this point in time. But that is still the case, right? That is still the bull case, and the bulls will always focus on that. The second problem that we have is the China headwind. Now the China market, if you follow NVIDIA closely, you probably have heard that, hey, Donald Trump said, hey, go for the China market and give them the H20 chips, and we'll take a 15% cut on that. All that is fine. They said, okay, we'll give you that, we'll take 85%. However, the Chinese government said, well, don't buy those chips at H20. So now NVIDIA had to pause the production, halt the production for the H20 chip, and then they're going back to White House asking, hey, can we give them a higher capability chip so that they can still take the market? So that is still this cat and mouse game. I think is going to be a continued headwind for the stock, whether it's for NVIDIA, whether it's for any other semiconductor. If you want to access the China market, you will have to make concessions, and basically they want what they want, and USA might not want to give what they want. So this is going to be a continuous battle. So there is no solution to this, I think, at this point in time. So something to be careful of. And then we know NVIDIA is going to beat the earnings. We know probably going to be $1 billion, $2 billion above surprise. Question is, how does the stock run up to the earnings? So maybe if we see a lot of selling before the earnings, we might see the stock actually going up. And then if we see if we see the other way around, we might even see a sell the news event. So I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't know what trade to take at this point in time. I will probably watch until Wednesday before I decide to even take a trade or not. And I might not even take a trade at this point in time. That's the analysis.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting week for sure, not just for NVIDIA, but for the kind of semiconductor industry as a whole. But will you be listening to the earnings call closely to see if they've got any kind of snippets to kind of give away to the investors?
No, I won't be actually. I won't be able to stream the earnings this time around.
Oh, no,
I'll probably just read the transcript.
Okay, yeah,
after the
cool. So
call.
you'll kind of know roughly what it does, and maybe you'll post something on X, I imagine, related to that. So it'd be good to kind of get involved with that. Do you want me to add you back on the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Let's do that. There we go. Back to normal. There we go. Fantastic. Can you hear me?
All right. I can. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
I can hear me twice as well.
Yeah, I actually figured it out, the issue, which I have to fix it afterwards. So.
Okay, sweet. So we're learning. We're pressing. We're always learning. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So you can see on the screen there. We've run through the kind of key areas to watch. We need to go through expected move and the Q2 revenues, but you kind of touched on that loosely anyway. Do you want to speak to kind of the price targets maybe?
Well, these are the price targets from all the analysts between anywhere from 195 to 250. So depending on your time horizon of holding NVIDIA in a portfolio, if it's a short term, you might see a pullback. If you're a long-term holder, you might be looking at a 250. So that's still a decent upside from even if you added these levels. I'm just not a big fan of adding stuff at 52-week high. I generally like to see a pullback. And from an RSI standpoint, you are 55, so it's perfect for the earnings reaction. So I really don't know how to play this until probably Wednesday morning.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting. I might just watch it with a bag of popcorn and see what happens. Awesome. Right, that's it for our stock picks for the week. I've got RIVN and Kaye has got NVIDIA. We'll see what happens. Sorry, I don't have any thoughts on NVIDIA at the moment, so I wouldn't be able to add to it. We can't actually see the top of the screen now. Yeah, so it's kind of floating around that 173 level at the moment. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting week for sure, not just for NVIDIA, but everything else as well. Okay, let's jump out of that and we'll get into some audience requests. Don't forget to keep adding them. We do have a couple of questions here from Saeed, maybe. SPY dipped down to 638 by Monday thought. Well, that's actually a different comment. There you go, that one there. I mean, what are we on now for SPY? Let's have a look.
Sorry, what was that comment? I didn't catch it.
645, so 638. Yeah, I mean, maybe. It's not that bad. Let's jump into the chart and have a look at that.
Oh, I see what it's saying. Okay.
Right, there we go. So 638 is actually not that far away.
Mm.
I mean, it's not a gap. In this one, he says, can someone talk about that after a big gap up? It's not a gap, because what happened was the market opened kind of flattish from the night before, overnight trading, and then Jerome spoke kind of during market hours, and then it pumped up. That's what we had, that reaction there. So it's not quite, I mean, I suppose it might be a little bit gap in there, but yeah, there's not much gap there to fill. Okay, what's the first?
The first ticker is Microsoft.
Awesome, here we go.
Yeah.
Microsoft breaking the trend line, just like SPY QQQ. Actually did it before SPY QQQ, because we've had that on the Thursday and the Friday in the previous week. So maybe it anticipated the breakdown, who knows? I don't know how really kind of to talk about this chart, because it's hard. Maybe there's a bit of support here, the 50 moving average. What are they doing logically? I mean, how's Copilot doing? Because I know you had some thoughts around that, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Copilot is, I mean, some use cases are improving on Copilot, but again, it's still a license issue, right? I mean, I still don't see enough use case adoption. Maybe in the cloud side, in a very IT centric area, it hasn't propagated enough to the user side where users are actively using. However, I will say this, that I'm hearing, at least from all my different peers from different industries, is they are talking about AI, and they are talking using AI at work responsibly. So most of the companies now, or at least ones I have heard, has started to roll out AI policies, what you can use, what you cannot use. This is very bullish from a long-term standpoint, which means that the company will allow users to use AI, and if they're going to allow users to use AI, they might as well start to put the right AI, whatever AI they trust, whether it could be ChatGPT, whether it could be Anthropic, whether it could be just going with Microsoft Copilot. That is bullish in long term. How long it will take to play out, we don't know.
Yet to be seen, isn't it? I mean, do you see it coming down to kind of 470 level?
I mean, if the market pulls back, it's a high probability, right? I mean, but at this point in time, Microsoft is like it's a juggernaut, right? Just like Meta. It's
Yeah.
I think every time you get those 5%, 6%, 7% corrections on Microsoft, Meta, and if you have them in your long-term portfolio, just add them, right? Just DCA on those.
Do have the MACD kind of curling over negatively on the weekly, so it could be a sign of things to come, perhaps. Yeah, just be aware of that. I mean, perhaps, like Kaye was saying, maybe not buying at these levels, but just monitoring the position. Okay, what's next then?
Palantir.
Oh, I just clicked on the wrong one. There we go. So Palantir had a bit of a rocky week. It went from about 180 all the way down to kind of 140, which is sure that scared investors. This was a previous video that I did. I'll get rid of that. Yeah, I mean, what a week that is. Let's go into the daily and have a look.
While you're pulling that up, just from the technical standpoint, on the daily chart, it did bounce off from the 50 SMA 3 times.
Yeah. So I've got an EMA here, and it's not far off.
Yeah.
Of the same thing you just mentioned. I actually got a line here at 154 drawn, which for some reason I must have drawn for a reason, but it's kind of bounced off of that level-ish. I mean, kind of way down below that, but maybe the buyer's coming back in to kind of save it a little bit. But yeah, it's quite a dramatic drop from, well, what seems to be 190 down to kind of 150. That's almost 20% drop.
Yeah, but if you actually draw out the volume profile, you will see the majority of the volume actually sits like around the 80, 70, $80 mark. And if
Well, yeah, you can
anybody
see
says
here.
that, hey, we will not see those levels, well, I mean, I don't know. We could see those levels at some point if the market pulls back, and there is a scare. Because the problem with these high beta stocks is when they go up, they have a parabolic run, and the same can be true on the opposite side. It's not like it's going up 2%, 1%, 3%. So it takes time for it to come down. They have like in 3-4 trading days, it could run up 25-30%.
Yeah, I mean, we all know what happened when Tesla had like a 400 plus PE ratio. It doesn't always hold. And it shouldn't hold because it's, the ratio is there for a reason. It doesn't mean to say it's not going to keep going up. Of course, these things happen.
Yeah.
But like
But
you said, you can expect volatility when those numbers are like that.
correct. But here's the point, right? If you were a buyer in the $7 range or $20 range or $40 range or 50, 60, 70, even $80 range, you're sitting on some very handsome profit. And that's where the risk management comes in. I think at this point in time, don't become a lover of the stock, right? That nothing will go wrong, everything is going to be hunky-dory. Take profits, or de-risk yourself, right? Don't lose the gains that you have already had, right? Don't lose them, because let's just say it pulls back 50%, right? You just lost that 50% of gain. You could have just sold it and then just bought back more in. So again, if you do options, you can sell covered calls to hedge your positions, right? That would be the most ideal case. Every time it runs up, sell those covered calls at a much higher strike price, where you don't mind losing those stocks. But I do feel like a lot of investors or retail investors, like they're like, oh, this is it. I won with this particular stock, and I'm just gonna hold it to eternity. There is no stock like that to eternity.
No,
Look
I
at
mean,
where Tesla is right now. You like it or you don't like it. Tesla, the brand destruction happened, right?
what would you say to people who hold shares? Where would you take profits? Not on this chart, but just generally. So,
I
what are
mean,
your
if you
thoughts
if
around
you
kind of taking profits at your all-time highs constantly?
well, if
Do you just nibble every $10 or something, or you just
like to sell your stocks.
yeah, not the whole lot, but just how do you take profits?
Well, the issue, you have to consider a couple things, right? You have to also consider your tax implication on the selling the stocks. I mean, if you have a share,
Yeah,
if you have 100 shares, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you bought at $77, you might have more than 100 shares, right? Um, I mean, you might sell covered calls to hedge your position. I would do that. Um, if you have let's say you only have 50 shares at $7 you bought, then why would you just relax and enjoy the ride, right? So it again depends on the portfolio size. If you have already become a millionaire by uh, using Palantir, I'm pretty sure you don't want to lose that down the road if it pulls back.
you could also, when stocks are kind of at all-time highs, just sell when the CEO sells, because you've got obviously Alex Karp must have sold quite a lot of shares on Friday
But
night as well.
that doesn't necessarily means that the company, something is wrong, right? Because
No, just him
when
taking
you
profits,
yeah, they're taking
understandably.
profits,
Yeah,
and sometimes they are forced to sell in certain intervals, right? Because depending on how they have had their contract with the company, right? So these things happen, and nobody can, and it's very difficult to tell. If I am an employee of the company and I'm sitting on massive profit, I want to sell when it's all time high, not when it's going down.
of course, definitely. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
name of the game. The kind of warning area will probably be around this sort of 169, 170 level, just because of the retracement back up to the trend line.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets rejected, then you can probably
Yeah,
see a little bit more of a downside action.
trend lines are not only for upside action, it's also to resistance.
Sure.
As we mentioned here, obviously breaks down by here, but it can use this area as resistance and come back down further. So just be aware of that if you are in that. So just be safe when you're trading these sorts of names, because they do move, as you can see on the screen. Okay,
Yep.
what's next?
Apple.
This is an interesting one. I brought this one up on my X a couple of days ago, and I kind of pointed out the fact that this is the weekly chart I've got here. It
Mhm.
just, or maybe I'll go 2 weekly, might be a bit easier for the screen. it does tend to have these trend lines coming down and then break out, as you can see 3 times on this chart. So it's just breaking out again, which is interesting. Do we make higher highs? Do we come up as kind of 270, 280? I know from a logical point of view, you don't completely agree with that. But as the chart suggests, it can power up higher regardless of
Yeah.
what's going on with the company and the CEO,
Well,
etc. So,
September 9th is the event when they launched the new collection of phones.
yeah, so
So
that would be a catalyst, wouldn't it? Well,
yeah, I mean that
potentially.
could be a
I mean, it's just going to be
catalyst.
the same thing.
Well, one of the bulls, Dan Ives, if you actually follow him, he actually has changed his tunes on Apple recently. That Apple is actually sleeping. I mean, which I have been saying. I mean, if you have been watching this channel
Yeah, you've said it for a
for
while.
any time from the last 1 year, I've been saying the same thing on Apple, and Apple is still the biggest position in my portfolio.
Yeah, and all the time it's kind of breaking these trend lines. You can't really complain with that. It's just going to
Yeah.
keep
Well,
powering
if you
higher, and this trend
again,
line will keep extending.
if you trade, this is you can trade the stock. But if you're looking from a long-term investing standpoint, you have to also think about what's going on with the company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's always a bit of a safe haven, though, isn't it? Everyone's always going to be buying Apple phones and all that. Whether it has the growth is to the to the stock is a different number, but it's
Exactly.
still a safe
Still a
haven in
billion plus
inverted commas.
devices. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right.
Well, let's move
Next
on.
up is Unity. I think U ticker symbol.
I've got this is a 2-week chart. We'll jump into daily chart first, which is what we normally do from the short-term analysis. We've got, this is quite nice. Oh, this has got my name written all over it. So we've got a nice ascending trend line there, as you can see on the screen. We'll get rid of these because these are old lines. And we've got a very clear resistance as well around this sort of level. Get rid of that. There we go. So what I'd be looking for straight off the bat, I mean, everyone can see it, is a breakout of this level of 39-ish, come back down and retest it, and then make another move higher. And that will essentially have to go back and find some levels, maybe around about this level, 48. So it could be a nice little simple trade from 39 to 48, thereabouts. You have to do a bit more research, of course, the viewers that are watching this. But essentially, that's kind of what I look for in a trend. I like this. There's obviously a bit of volume behind it as well. Let's have a look. That's the wrong thing. They're not quite, actually. So you can see on the screen down the bottom there, the volume on the daily candles is not growing, maybe slightly, but not growing as much as I would like to see it. Maybe I would like to see it kind of up here and sustain up here, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would agree. And then also what I don't like is that they were not able to break the 39. So that could act as a resistance.
Of
Because they
course, yeah. I mean,
seem to
we
break
can
like
also
what,
see
4
it.
or 5 times now.
Yeah, we can also see it kind of chopping in between here and then breaking down. That's also
Exactly.
a very plausible situation. And you've also got to look at how the market overall is performing. So if you get kind of a bit more of a bullish market, then these stocks tend to kind of come up with the market as well. So you've got to kind of bear that in mind when you're trading these stocks. Just look at the market. Unless there's a specific catalyst for the stock, that's a different thing. But more often than not, it will follow the market thereabouts. Anyway, what's next?
Okay, next is OKTA.
OKTA, this one's one of yours.
Yeah, this is going to report earnings. OKTA
yeah.
has really had a pretty, I would say, poor performance in the last it's just been a downtrend at this point in time. And I do have a position in OKTA, but I am not tracking their earnings. I might have to see what's going on. I mean, they did beat their earnings in May, both surprises. And for the upcoming earnings, they have a 41 up revisions on the EPS. So we might be seeing things improving. And all the SMAs are piling up above the stock right now, current stock price. So the only way to break that is through some sort of a catalyst, which will be the earnings. So if they show considerable growth in the future of the company, I'm pretty sure we may be able to see those highs. I mean, there are still gaps, man. From all the way from the 127, we had that gap down going down to what 105, and since then they have not been able to fill that gap. So
Yeah, with a big gap from last earnings.
Yeah, I mean, and
It's there on the screen.
they're
There we
famous
go.
for those gaps, right? If you actually follow the Okta stock, there are just a lot of gaps, and all these gaps happens because of the earnings.
It could be worth a very, very, very small kind of earnings, kind of almost gamble in a way, just because the reason I say this is because we've got this nice trend line here, and I know you shouldn't put technicals alongside earnings, but if you put a very, very small part and then maybe add to it after the earnings, depending on what happens with the earnings, then you could play this move from around about 92, 93-ish, all the way up to 124, if they're bullish earnings and they continue on that ride. So there is a potential there. I won't do it myself because it's not part of my strategy, but that will be a thought for some traders and some investors, of course.
Yeah.
But it's a nice trend line. If we can, maybe what I would do is maybe wait for the earnings to play out. Maybe if it comes up 10% and then comes up and retreats it and kind of retraces down here, that would be an ideal entry. So yeah, wait for that one. Understand. Listen to that thought, not the thought before. Okay,
Next,
what's next?
VST.
I think we've had this one before. Actually, maybe not. Maybe what am I thinking of?
Let me see what
Yes, Vistra Core. What do they do then, okay?
it operates an integrated retail, electricity, and power generation company in US.
Done very well. The volume's definitely increased by the looks of it. Yeah.
I think we have definitely covered this because I have some lines, but I think we have covered it back in 2024. It was
Right.
definitely one of the requests from the audience at some point in time.
Well, it's been on a tear. I would maybe think coming back down to this kind of 170. We'll stick with 170 for now. That kind of area, come back down for a retest would be a nice place to consider entering. I probably won't touch it myself. I don't know much about the company, but I'll note it down and definitely add it to the watch list. But you can quite clearly see, apart from this week here, which is clearly like an anomaly week, a lot of resistance here at the 170 line. Where are the moving averages? They're kind of coming in just around
Yeah,
that sort of
they're right
area.
around the corner on the moving average. So the stock price is below the 20 SMA. It's right hovering just below the 50 SMA as well. And the 200 and
Nice.
300 is way far down below, so not worth.
Oh, right, let's move on.
Okay, TEMP, TEM,
Got
TEM.
lots of this one. TEMP.
Yeah. You know, the funny part is about this one is till today, I don't know what this company does, but I keep seeing folks asking for the sticker. I just never.
This is a climate change solution ETF.
TEMP, not TEM, right?
Yeah. So I'm
Let me
just wondering
check out
if sky is the limit actually meant TEM.
Okay.
Whereas no, because M and P are quite different on the keyboard. So maybe it is TEMP.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got an ETF here, a climate change solutions ETF, which is actually doing better than I thought it would have done. It's not that long. Oh, no, this is the weekly chart. I thought it'd be in September. I mean, look at that. I wouldn't be trading this. It's all over the place. Maybe it did mean TEM. We can't offer any thoughts on this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, yep.
Let's have a look at TEM, just in case it was what you wanted to do. This one had a beautiful breakout recently. Unfortunately, I missed it, which I'm really frustrated with because it kind of came out here on a lot of volume. We like volume, and we're kind of breaking out from the trend line. Subsequently, it kind of gone up around about 20% since then, of course. And obviously, the target will be up towards this kind of upwards channel. So we're looking at 100 plus, definitely, at some point in the future. But whether it comes back down and retest these bits in the meantime, that's obviously part of the equation as well. Do you trade this one much, Kaye? It's a healthcare name.
Yeah, I don't understand what it does. I will tell you. I read it and it's just gibberish to me, and I just move on. I don't understand what they do, honestly, at this point.
If you can't understand them, we have no hope.
No, that's not true. I just don't understand, and I don't have the. I don't like healthcare in general, like as a trading mechanism. Just doesn't excite me. So, anyways, let's move on. Next one is Uber.
Uber. We've got a question here. Well, not a question. No, coming here from Matt. If y'all haven't done Barber yet, then check it out. I'm glad you brought that one up. I'm looking forward to kind of talking about Barber. It will be for another kind of 10 minutes or so, I reckon. But yeah, we'll get into that one.
Yeah.
Would you say Uber?
Uber, yeah. And
Nice.
I'm
Oh,
telling
look
you,
at that.
Uber. I mean, if you have been following from last year, what I said, like it was in the 60s when I brought this up.
No, I've even got this line here that says go up 11% towards this line.
Yeah.
It's so annoying because I thought about buying at the beginning of the year, and obviously you mentioned it, and it's down here at the beginning of the year. Oh,
No, and you can,
oh well.
and if you don't trust me, go back to my profile on X, and you can go and watch the videos from last year when we called out
Yeah, no, it's in your stocks picks of the year, isn't it?
exactly top 5 stock picks of the year. The only ones that haven't done that well is actually Tesla, because guess what? Elon Musk screwed up the entire thesis. Apart from that, everything else has played out perfectly.
And this is a great lesson in the fact that you don't really. Everyone kind of says that trading is the way forward. Trading is the only way you can make money, but it's not the only way you make money. You can invest and make money still. I mean, we just saw Uber there is up 50% year to date. If you just held, I don't know, 100 shares of that, for example, then
Exactly.
you know you're well in for making a decent amount of money, and you don't have to do anything. You just sit and hold. Of course, there's volatile days. There's going to be scary, panicky days, but they're the days that kind of test you as an investor. So kind of a lesson around investing rather than trading. Any thoughts on that, Kaye? Because obviously you're a bit more an investor mindset in terms of
Yeah,
trading wise.
and I think what ends up happening is, so Twitter, Reddit, all this is a great platform to learn a new lot of things, but also it kind of like it's a crowdsourced, right? So what ends up happening, you start following the crowd. And one of the thought process about the crowd was that, hey, we're going to have a launch of robotaxi and it's going to destroy the business of Uber, blah 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 blah. Guess what, where we are? Robotaxi was launched in June, and till today it's been what, 2 months. Public cannot still use robotaxi.
No.
So and if they're going to eat Uber's lunch, they are not eating Uber's lunch in the next 4 quarters. So you could still hold the stock, make your profit, and sell at a long term capital gain. You don't have a short term capital gain if you hold for 1 year plus. So I think that this whole it's a zero sum game for a lot of folks, right? It's a black and white. Most of the things will operate in a gray zone, honestly. That's just my take on it.
There you go. So yeah, I mean Uber doing very good things as you mentioned there.
Next up
And
is
Tesla
your
maybe
stock,
not.
Rubric.
I'm surprised no one brought up Neo yet. It's so I actually took a trade on Rubric a couple of days ago. If you follow me on X, which you can see on the screen is at @SeanTrades_, you'll know that I've taken a trade because whenever I post this long position thing, that's when I post a trade. And the reason I've done it is because of the break of the trend line. And we saw like a confirmation of the break on the Friday. So I opened. So what I mean by that, let me zoom in. So we had a candle here on Thursday, kind of broke above it and stayed above it. And the Friday's candle started above the trend line, which is good. That's a confirmed break. So I thought, okay, I'll get it in then. I don't know if the entry is completely as that, so I think it might be a bit higher than that, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so the essentially I want it to come up to 98, and that's a good percentage, about 15-20%, something like that. Let's have a look. Yeah, 15%. And of course, I will take half the position there, which is my strategy, and I'll make it kind of drag up the stop loss behind the 20-moving average, which is the orange line. So the more the stock goes up, the more that'll come up. But yeah, that's my strategy. Any thoughts on Rubric? Do you trade this one much, Kaye?
No, I have it on my
looking good.
I have it on my on radar watch list, but I have not traded it yet.
There's another way of looking at this, maybe more towards your trading style as well. So if we just get rid of some of these lines, it'd be interesting to see what your take is here. So we get rid of all of that, the line and the trend lines here. You could actually say there's a bit of a channel kind of going on as well.
Exactly. Yep.
So I know you like to trade within a channel, and you've kind of got this played out here. So is that something you might be looking at as well?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this could be. Let me since you brought it up, let me look at the options chain for it and see.
Yeah, I think this will be really handy for whoever brought this up as well, because talking about these stocks, ManRam, brilliant. Yeah, one of the viewers, we appreciate it.
The IV is so high that you can actually do a pretty good job on the collecting the premiums, because just selling at the money puts, you are going to get about $7.50 in premium for a $86 stock or $87 stock, that is crazy. That's IV for you. And if you can repeat that for 3-4 weeks, actually, unfortunately, this is a monthly one. This is not a weekly option expiration. So then I might be a little bit more careful. I might be more conservative in doing this. But still, IV is pretty high. You could sell a $65 put if you okay owning it, and you will still make $100, $120 on this.
Nice. I feel like I've added to your watch list there.
Yeah, you did. Absolutely.
That doesn't happen very often, so I'll take that
Yeah,
on there.
yeah.
A big win for me this Sunday. Awesome.
Next
Right,
is
let's move on.
TTD. The
Trade
trading.
desk.
Yeah.
Still plodding along down there, isn't it? Yeah, big gap to fill. It does this quite a lot on earnings, though. We've had this before.
But this has been a recent trend. Since they had that massive gap down back, I think 2 earnings back in February, they did very poorly, and then they had another earning, and we had a gap up running all the way to filling that gap a little bit which was the previous gap down, and then basically we had another earnings, and then boom, it just fell down.
So I had my mic on mute there. I completely forgot about that. Classic live stream issues. Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of work to do. I wouldn't be buying or even touching it at these points. We've
Yeah.
had this conversation with UNH before, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah. We actually have a comment here, and I didn't realize because I had scrolled up on the comments. I didn't actually see any new comments. It's going really well. RBRK monthly chart by Finexcel. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, no, really good. So we've got that kind of support there, 83.
Yeah. If it can come down, retest, and have that breakout, that's going to be another.
Yeah, I mean, if we get a good week this week, that could be a really nice push out.
Listen, I mean, I definitely have added rubric to my.
Awesome.
Okay. Next is NVAX. Not sure. So let's go through the tickers a little bit faster on these ones.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a lower cap name, isn't it? This is 784.
This is like NVAX. I think it's a healthcare.
NVAX. This has been a meme one, I swear. Not a meme, but like a high volatile.
Yeah, the short interest is 26%. So basically, you're probably banking on the short interest to, make some money here.
Yeah, just like they did here by looks of it.
Yeah,
that's just 500%. Nothing to really grumble out there.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
the volume is increasing. To be fair, we've got this is the weekly chart as well, not the daily chart. Lots of volume here back in May of last year, of course. Volume's just kind of creeping up as well now. Nice volume shelf here. Moving averages down below. Could be worth a small portion of the portfolio, perhaps. Yeah, maybe stick this one on the watch list.
Okay.
Maybe just quickly as well, draw that there-ish. Could be come back down for a retest. Something nice and simple. Definitely writing this one down. I like these names.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Next is GIS, General Mills.
General Mills. What's this?
I think they produce food and stuff like. If I'm not wrong.
This feels like a dividend stock.
Consumer foods worldwide. It used to be a very big. It's a dividend stock. This used to be dividend world.
Feels like a dividend stock.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I want to even touch this stock, honestly, until the trend changes or reverses on this one.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to really suggest buying it. If anything, selling it more would be the way to go. But I mean, there's definitely more opportunities in the market to really kind of capitalize on. This one doesn't move anywhere near as fast.
Next is NEE, Next Era Energy.
Well, this is one of those
utilities.
Yeah. Alongside Enphase and things like that.
Yeah. This also is in your wheelhouse, so go for it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a line straight away here, which is interesting because it's kind of acted as resistance here, broke out, pumped back down on earnings by the looks of it, kind of climbed back up, stayed above it, and then maybe use it as a bit of support. But I would like to see those moving averages come up maybe a bit more aggressively. I don't know. It's hard to trade this because it's been so stagnant for so long. It's hard to really get a feel for a breakout. I mean, there's comes with a caveat, the fact that more it builds out, the bigger the breakout, of course. But with these sorts of names, it's kind of tried it, failed a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on.
Next is MRK.
How many more have we got? I haven't really been counting.
We actually had 17, 18, 19. So let me see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 that I have it here, and then a couple requests left over here on the.
Okay, well, we'll keep going at this pace then.
Okay.
Merck and Company. Okay, nice basing. I seem to have drawn a box here at some point, so let's zoom out and have a look at that to the 2-week chart. Yes, so the 2-week chart has come back down to the 300 million average. Kind of played around this for quite some time. Built the volume here on the right side. Maybe looking to kind of break out of this area, which is interesting. Lots of moving averages in the way, but that doesn't mean everything. It is a lagging indicator. So let's take them off the screen. One thing it does point out is the volume is decreasing quite rapidly in the last couple of months. Yeah, not one I'm going to touch. Anything from you?
No, on this one.
Okay.
Next is open.
Oh, here we go.
So this is the
What's the short interest
we are
on this
finally,
one now?
yeah, we are finally entering the meme phase, I guess, because I think there's a lot of chatter that after $5 break we might see some massive run ups on this one. So I mean, honestly, if you really want to play this, I would say just buy leap calls on these. It's not that expensive.
Is it the safest option, you think, for people? If they want to have a little gamble, is it the safest option?
I would say, in this situation, if you buy 100 stocks, you'll put what, $500, right? For $500, you can probably buy 5 contracts. So you will have a much bigger upside with controlling 500 shares versus just having 100 shares.
So look, I mean, we've had that kind of 800% move already, which sounds ridiculous because it was down to kind of 50 cents.
Yeah.
And these stocks we've seen in the past, they can just keep going. I'm not saying they will, but they can.
And honestly, at this point in time, this is more. You're basically in the casino at this point in time. So might as well, just if you want to gamble, just gamble a small percentage, but use call options, leap calls on these. You'll be able to.
Tricky.
Yeah.
In terms of risk management with these, it's really, really tricky to have a stop loss because it can get punched out so much. I mean, from a general point of view, you would have a stop loss down below this low, but that low is ridiculous. That's 40%. There's no normal way that you have a 40% stop loss. It's just, unless it's a really small position, but then there's no point putting it on towards the upside either. So yeah, just be really careful if you're trading these names and make sure it's money you can definitely lose.
Yeah, because when you're on Twitter, you will start to see, people will show screenshots, say they bought 10,000 contracts at $5. But the problem is you don't know what their total portfolio size is. It could be a $10 million portfolio size, and it's just like 0.01% of what they have put here. So a lot of folks, they hype stocks on that Twitter as well. But hey, if you really want to participate, go for leap calls long term. That gives you the opportunity to control. Okay, next up is Monday. All right, I can talk on this one, man.
Go for it.
So if you are, first of all, I hope you have used the product. If you have used the product, it's a pretty solid product from SaaS standpoint. If you're on Seeking Alpha, there's an analyst who was comparing this with, I think I forget which stock he was comparing with GitLab. GitLab is a DevOps, and this is a completely different software. Anyway, so bottom line is it's at a pretty good valuation. Question is, how much do you trust it will make its way back to those all-time highs? I think personally, as a user of a power user of this software and all the products they are launching, and I'm seeing how AI is being slowly inducted within the software. So, when people think of AI, what the use cases are for the companies, it's really not coming up with those massive features that's just going to change your life. It's actually using those basic features where you had to press 5 buttons to get to an action. AI is able to just do it with one action. And when they slowly introduce those AI features, and they are slowly trying to monetize those AI features, and I'll give you how they are monetizing it. They basically are letting you use 500 credits a month for taking an action. So each action is a credit. So 500 credits are free. So you can use, current users can just use the AI features. Now, as they get hooked to using the AI features in their use case, 500 credits is nothing. It just goes by like this. Then they will have different tiers of selling those credits. So they'll say, okay, next up is 5,000 credits or 10,000 credits, and you have to pay X amount for the entire year or whatever the monthly is. And I think that is the strategy the company is going through. So I actually have added this into my long-term position. And I think it's going to be a multi-bagger from here onwards. And if it falls more, I'm going to keep adding more on it, actually. So that's my take on it, long-term.
I think backing up with the technicals, I think the fundamental side, I think that's very key. And you spoke about user experience, which again is very key with stocks like these, especially in the SaaS industry. But from a technical point of view, we've got three kind of really good things happening here. And we've got RSI divergence, which is where the stock kind of points downwards and makes lower lows, but the strength gets higher in that movement. So we've seen that. Of course, we're below the kind of typical oversold section for RSI. We're both below the kind of 25 line, which is typically in the long-term investing standpoint a good time to add or start a position technically. And then of course we've got the MACD down here, which I've kind of blocked there with the plus sign, but it's kind of curving up through, and you can see the equal signs here kind of going up to the upside. I suppose you can add in the volume profile here on the right side. Maybe you can push through that this week would be ideal. Ultimately, obviously, the gap fill back up to 36 could be a good trade idea. Obviously, you're talking about more of an investing standpoint, a long-term standpoint. But for me, I would like to kind of utilize that move for sure. Take half off the table, let the rest run, as I do typically within my trading. So yeah, I really like this name. I've written it down. Looking forward to seeing how it kind of progresses over the next couple of weeks.
Yep. Next is CFLT, Confluent.
So yeah, Confluent. We've had this one for ages, haven't we?
Yeah, and this also had this massive gap down. I think probably after.
Wow,
earnings.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
probably.
definitely after earnings. Got
Yeah,
my earnings symbol down here. Yeah, I'm wondering why that happened. Such a big
Well,
drop.
they did not miss. They did beat top and bottom line. I'm pretty sure it has to do with the future guidance.
So the similar sort of boat as well. It's not quite an RSI divergent, but it's kind of having that kind of MACD turnaround now. Yes, it's a tricky one. I prefer Monday over Confluent for sure, just by looking at it like this. It's got a lot of resistance here at this point. So yeah, I wouldn't be buying this one. I prefer Monday.
Next up is UNH, and then we touch Baba, and then then two more, and then we wrap it up. Unless you want to wrap Baba with the last ticker.
Yeah, I think because we've run it over a little bit already. So we'll do this UNH, which is one for you, and we'll do Barber, which is one for me. And we'll kind of end it nicely there, I think.
Okay.
So this last week has been interesting, hasn't it? Do you want to talk to this one?
With UNH, well, I think the run up that happened was because of Berkshire's reveal.
Yeah.
And if you started a position at $300 because Berkshire invested in it, just keep in mind that they are there for the long term. So you will have to hold through the long term. It's not going to be a quick turnaround here.
No, I mean, you can kind of see it on the MACD as well down the bottom there. We did have a little bit of a spike here before the next downturn, but it's a bit more of a basing happened here, and you're kind of flowing through it. I don't use the MACD a lot, but I think it's worth bringing up just for kind of a momentum and maybe a potential trend shift. So it's worth kind of having on your charts, but I wouldn't swear by it, of course. What we do need is to get back above 300, which so far we've done. And then we're going up towards the kind of 450 mark in the long term, as you mentioned, would be ideal.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. UNH looking good for investors finally. I say looking good, looking better, I suppose is the best way to put it.
Maybe if you want like a cheaper stock option, maybe look at Oscar, right? That's another meme stock. Not a meme stock, retail favorite healthcare stock.
Exactly. Yeah. Healthcare kind of coming into everyone's minds at the moment, isn't it? So
Exactly.
yeah, I mean this is Barber, and this is very, very simple for me. It's a trend line breakout on the weekly chart. So I've spoken about this in the past, and you can see I'm in trade because I've got that thing on the screen there, and I'm basically looking for the first gap fill, second gap fill. These are daily gap fills. Obviously, you can't see it on a weekly chart. Then ultimately, hopefully by the end of the year, I mean that's a bit ambitious, but maybe the mid parts of next year, back up to 175. earnings on Friday will be a good kind of indicator for future price action. Perhaps we get a bit of volatility on the day. It's normally up around about 8 or 9%, and obviously down 8 or 9% as well, give or take. So it'll be a very interesting week for sure. But this is my strategy in a nutshell: break the trend line, come back down, retest it, enter. So that's it, really. Kind of all I've got to say. So, Barbara, are you interested in the Barbara at the moment with this setup, or are you kind of sitting
I
back?
think it's a pretty good
relaxing?
setup. But have you entered the position, or are you waiting for the retest?
Oh, I've entered, yeah.
You have entered the position. Okay.
Yeah, I've entered a couple of positions, different accounts personally,
Okay.
but they're not huge, but they're substantial enough to be a trade. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And I think lately we haven't heard much on the Chinese stock front, but I'm pretty sure if you follow them closely, you probably are much more tuned to those stocks as opposed to folks who are just swinging it for the fences.
Exactly. Okay. It's going to be an interesting week coming up, isn't it? We've got NVIDIA earnings, lots of kind of little kind of stock earnings as well. We've got Barbara, OKTA, Affirm as well. So there's going to be quite a lot of interest around within the markets. What's your kind of game plan going into this week then, Kaye? You're going to keep a level head, something like that?
Yeah, I think the only trade I might want to take is NVIDIA, but I'll be very honest. This quarter, this earnings season trades have not worked out for me. But again, those are binary trades, so might not take the NVIDIA trade, or I'll wait until Wednesday to basically pull the trigger, or might just sit out. But the decision will be on Wednesday, not before that.
I think your kind of thoughts there were kind of all over the place. So maybe it's kind of best to sit back and kind of enjoy the experience and see what happens. Because sometimes when you have those kind of thoughts around those kind of these kind of news events and earnings, it's going to be quite hard to trade that. So just sit back and enjoy it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if what I have learned from this season's poor performance on earnings trade is don't get into revenge trading, because that happens. When you lose like 3-4 times, you're like, oh, I'm gonna make it in the next one. It's just sit back and relax and what happened, right? I mean, and the best part is that it's not like I have gone wrong in my assessment. It's just that the time was not enough, or the breakout happened slightly later than what I anticipated, or the move was not violent enough for that trade to play out. But again, when you're doing options trading, these factors play in that earnings trade. The earning prior to this one was a banger, right? Pretty much every single earning trade, I nailed it. This earnings trade, this season has been pretty, shitty, I would say.
And that's how it goes. That's how trading goes. I go through periods of weeks from time to time of just not winning, or I adhere to my rules. I do my risk management as much as I can. Obviously, you do have the odd day where you kind of missed a rule, and then you kind of note that down. You have it back, kind of back testing, etc. But yeah, you do have bad spells, and it's okay. It's just how you recognise that and how you move and build from that. We've got a comment here, obviously, from Justin. Great to have you along once again. Good show, guys. Thank you very much. We had a bit of disconnection halfway through, but we managed it. We got through it. We do apologise for not getting to all the tickers. I think we've missed 2 or 3, so it wasn't too bad today. And we got to about 3,000 viewers, which is all, of course, excellent as always. And we do appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel at Trading Weekly. We'll be doing a few more things towards the end of the year, but it's good to kind of get you in early so you can kind of build your trading journey when we do eventually get there. A message from me is just kind of trade safe. Obviously, watch out for those news events. They're coming thick and fast. Fed speakers, CPI releases, and of course Donald Trump. He does like to spread his words every now and then. But yeah, that's it from me. Obviously, we'll be back this time next week at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Once again, so any final thoughts before we kick off?
No, that's it. Big week ahead. We'll catch you guys next Sunday.
Perfect. Take care, everyone. See you later.
Bye.